Greetings and welcome back to 10 Feet Away from Ben Gray. I am your host, Ben Gray. Joining us this week is Morghan McNally, a senior at Wheaton North High School and member of Holy Cross Cornerstone. Today we're actually changing things up a little bit. We're not going to be talking about James today, in part because Morghan has never read even a single passage from James, but also because we're just kind of getting over it. So today we're talking about a passage from Colossians. Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 through 11. Before we get into this, though, I have a question for you. Excluding Christmas, what's your favorite holiday?
Easter.
Why?
I don't know.
It's because we're in a church right now. You feel like I took away the primary Christian holiday, so you have to go to...
Actually, we'll do Thanksgiving.
Okay, then why Thanksgiving?
Because you get an entire week off of school for one meal.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. You're right.
No, my friend said it.
You guys get a whole week off?
Yeah, it's so convenient.
That's not bad. But you guys don't really have like any other... That's like your fall break, essentially.
Yeah.
You don't get a stretch other than Thanksgiving break.
Other than like 3-day weekends, but
Yes.
that's like about it.
All right, anyways, Colossians chapter 3, verse 1 through 11. Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived, but now you must rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge and the image of its Creator. Here there is no Greek or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. Are you very impressed by my pronunciation of Scythian?
Yes, it was very good.
Pretty good, yes. I have no idea if it's accurate or not, but I don't think anyone's going to call me out.
We'll say it is.
We'll just say it is. All right, so first actual question for you, Morghan. In verse 2, Paul, who wrote this letter, says there are things from above and things that are earthly. What would you say are examples of things from above, not earthly things?
Well, my first thought was Jesus and angels.
Sure.
But
they literally are from heaven. Yeah, that's not a bad answer. Yeah.
But then also like more like ideas of like goodness and like kindness and things like that.
What about kindness do you consider heavenly instead of earthly?
Well, when I think of earthly things, I think of more like physical things, where I feel like the idea of being like kind to others is more of like a heavenly thing, but I'm not really sure.
So when you mean like literally like material as in made of atoms and particles as being earthly things. So like the material world being earthly and the spiritual world being heavenly?
Yes. Sure.
It's a tricky one. I guess the root of what I'm getting at here is to me, it seems that Paul's more talking about behaviors. So what behaviors would be heavenly versus earthly? You mentioned things like kindness. What is it about kindness that is from God as opposed to from earth or from the devil, let's say?
Well, I feel like heavenly, like, I feel like they're always kind up there and stuff, where it's like earthly, you have like a lot of other things that kind of more negative.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So it's evilness that is from the earth.
Yeah.
All right, Paul talks about putting to death our earthly desires, and then he lists a bunch of examples. Verses 5 through 9, it's basically just a laundry list of the things we shouldn't do. How do we change behaviors and desires, really, that come naturally to us?
Well, it's a process. You can't do it right. It's not like
it's not flipping a switch. Okay.
But I feel like it's just like your morals that change those things.
If you know that it's wrong?
Yeah.
Is the first step like an acknowledgement of the badness of something?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever lied?
Yes.
Have you ever lied since knowing that lying was bad?
Yes.
So thank you for telling the truth. If you already know, and you've known for a long time, you've known for like at least a decade that lying is bad, why do we still do it? And how do
Well,
we stop?
There's like situations. Like I feel like there's lying where if you're trying to get someone else in trouble, you should fix that and not do that.
Sure.
But like there's lying where it's like someone be like, "Oh, how's my outfit?" And then it's actually really bad, but you lie and you're like, "Oh, it looks great." Because it's like,
Is that okay too?
yes, because I don't want to hurt their feelings.
So if Brenna came to you and she had like a date or something like that, and she wanted to know if she looked okay.
Okay, that's like if someone had like a piece of spinach in their teeth, I would tell them. But like there's other things of like little things that really don't really matter that much. Like pants aren't the ones I'd pick. Like if I don't think.
It's different if it's like, I'm not into your style. There's plenty of times where I've seen someone that I think,
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear that, but you're pulling it off. That's different.
Yeah, but there's some things that I don't think go together, but they might think they go together, and we're already somewhere, and I'm like, you're fine.
That's a good point. If your truth isn't something they can fix quickly and easily, is it valuable to share it?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a good point.
I'm a people pleaser, so I don't really.
Right. You don't want to confront.
Yeah, I'm not a huge confronter, but like maybe in certain situations I'd say something, but
Okay.
probably not all the time.
If it was just the two of you, or does that make it worse?
That probably makes it worse. It's hard.
You would
being
need
a
you would need
people
a group to like.
Yeah, I need someone to like start the like confronting them, and then I'd like join in.
Okay. So you want to be a part of a group intervention, not like a one-on-one kind of
Yes.
thing. Okay. That's a challenging one because confronting feels bad when you do it.
But it can be a good thing.
It can
but
be
it's
a
like
very
it's
good and
like
healthy thing.
being an introvert's hard.
Is it fair, kind of tying into that first question, is it fair for us to ask or expect others to change their desires and their natural behaviors? If something comes naturally, can it really be bad?
Yes, I feel like in certain situations it's like okay for you to be like, oh, I want you to like change your behavior if you're like at a family gathering and they're like swearing all the time. Then I feel like that would be
Sure.
something I'd be like, get your act together. But
Yes.
like just like day-to-day life, I feel like you can't really do that. I feel like it has to come from them to really want to do it.
So it's not, we shouldn't feel the obligation to try and help each other change our behaviors. It really has to be something that is internally driven. But how do we ever know then if our behavior is right or wrong? If no one in society is ever going to like call us out.
Like you have to be aware of it. So someone has to say something, but like
It's just
the
not gonna be
actual
more-
you changing it has to like be motivated by yourself. Like you have to be motivated by yourself to do it.
In your life, as Morghan McNally, what does it mean when Paul says that there's no longer Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all?
I think it means like even though we all may seem different in different ways, we all are like a part of the body of Christ, and so we're all like equal and the same in like that sense.
What value comes from all of us being part of the body of Christ?
I know it says like we're like slaves and free, but like when we go to heaven, we'll all be like, we can all like go to heaven and be like free in heaven and like that type of.
It's equalizing. It's
Yeah.
equal social status, equal economic status. It's equal across the board.
Like no one's above each other.
No, there's no hierarchy anymore. So because of the fact that when we all go to heaven, anyone who is a billionaire in their life is no longer a billionaire. Anyone who was poor in their life is no longer poor. It's really meaningless to have those definitions now because in the end, it doesn't matter.
Well, it does here because we have like, you have to pay for things. So being poor, you're going to struggle a little bit.
Practically speaking, yeah. There's a difference between being a billionaire and being poor.
Like society, they've like made things where like, you know, billionaires tend to have like the luxuries that they need while poor people tend to struggle. So I feel like here those separations are still there.
Is it good that we have these labels still here on earth? Or is it a necessary evil? Or is it just neutral?
Neutral.
So it's not wrong that there are several hundred billionaires in the world and billions of people in poverty. That's not a bad thing.
Well, it's not. Well, no, okay, it's a bad thing, but it's like I feel like you'd have because even if you didn't put the labels on it, like you just like said they were all people. Like people are still gonna have more money and like still gonna be less. So I feel
It's not the label doesn't
Yeah.
change the circumstances.
no,
It's the
like
circumstances that change
yeah.
the circumstances. Paul talks about the fact that, there's no more barbarian or Scythian. He's talking about nationality as well. Should we do away with nationalities? Does it matter that you were born in the United States and somebody else is born in Mexico or born in Israel or born in China?
I don't think it like matters.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but
no.
it's like
But then should we throw away those labels?
no, because I feel like that helps like represent who you like. I feel like I'm American, like
Sure.
so like
And that means something to you.
yeah, it's like where you grew up, and I feel like it's not like a bad thing. It kind of helps give people a way of like maybe how you grew up, or like it gives a sense of like who you are.
It's a sense of identity.
Yeah.
I think what Paul's arguing here, though, is that that's not a identity that Christians should own. Do you agree with him or no? Can you call yourself a Christian and an American? I might just be reading Paul wrong. Should we just say I'm a Christian? And then any other label doesn't matter because of the final destination of everyone.
Like I'm a Christian and I'm American, but like I don't feel like they like because I'm American like that like affects really my Christianity. I feel like it.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can be both.
Yes.
Okay. So then why is Paul making this argument? Or is that not the argument you think he's making?
I feel like he just wants all the labels gone.
That's kind of how I read it, yeah.
Like,
that like anything other than follower of Jesus
yeah.
isn't a label that's worth keeping. But you disagree with him.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like that's like, I'm a Christian, but I feel like,
that's not
you
all
have
you
to,
are.
Yeah, I'm multiple things.
Yes. This has been another episode of 10 Feet Away from Ben Gray. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us this week. This is probably going to be the only episode you ever watch.
Cool.
And that's okay. I'm totally fine with that. If you have any interest in joining us on 10 Feet Away from Ben Gray, please let us know. Of course, no one watches these anyways, so there's no way for you guys to let me know if you're interested. I hope you guys have a great week, and see you next one. Does it rain when you wear slides, or do you wear slides when it rains?
I wear slides when it rains.
Okay, so your slides don't cause rain.
No.
If they did, we can make a lot of money that way.